We got to get to it, y'all.
Millions of Americans on the edge of a hunger crisis as SNAP federal food assistance runs out of money. Even after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to use emergency funds, the White House argues it's not legally allowed to use the money, leaving the 42 million Americans who rely on SNAP in limbo. President Trump says he's instructed government lawyers to find a legal path to restore SNAP funding, but acknowledges benefits will still be delayed. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries blasting the president.
The Trump administration needs to release these benefits. They have the funds for a contingency situation like we confront.
But as the shutdown drags on for more than a month, Democrats still holding firm for an extension of Obamacare tax credits to keep healthcare costs for some 20 million Americans from skyrocketing. Obamacare open enrollment begins this weekend, and many are already feeling the sticker shock. In Virginia, Beth Dryer's monthly premium jumping from $80 to $425.
This is more than quadrupled in cost for me. So it's just straight out. There's no way I would be able to afford this.
I'm going to tell y'all straight up. And this is just my personal experience. I can't talk about anybody else's experience, but in my personal experience, I will tell you that it has been way cheaper, way cheaper to do preventative and to just pay out of pocket. I almost think that insurance is almost a scam. I can almost say that insurance is nothing but a pyramid scheme, and it's taking money out of different places. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have insurance, but I almost think that insurance is a scam. If we, and I'm not talking for people that have a pre-existing condition or something big that you're dealing with or whatever, but when it comes to the amount of money that people are paying in insurance, I honestly think it's a scam. Health insurance is a scam, specifically. All insurances is not a scam, but health insurances are definitely a scam for most people. Insurance is great when it's covered by your company. And you know the thing about that though, PJ, is that I was looking at all of the money that was coming out of my paycheck for insurance. Man, I wish I had a 1040 right now. I was looking at all of the money that was coming out of my paycheck for insurance. Like I was still paying a ton of money in insurance in addition to what my employer was paying. And then when I would go and get a prescription, or when Rita would go and get a prescription, I was paying more in copays than it would cost me to just pay for it outright. Half of insurance is fraud. Half of insurance is fraud. 100%. People was finessing, getting all of the money and all of that stuff. I'm telling you, bro, look, everything I'm doing right now is out of pocket, or I just get on a plan, right? So for example, I go to my dentist and they have their own plans. Where I think that the industry is going mostly is that everything is going a la carte and concierge. So healthcare providers or physicians in particular are now breaking away. And when I first heard of it, and I heard about it years ago, when I first heard about it, I was hearing about it from a concierge doctor perspective. Now I got my own concierge doctor. But when I first heard about it, I'm like, well, why would they do that? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't they get that insurance money? But then I was talking to a doctor because I was coaching one from a financial perspective, and they were telling me that they were making more money, and they had to deal with less clients by actually putting people, like individually dealing with people and not having to go through the insurance companies and trying to fight for money. And they were able to have a better work-life balance while at the same time taking on less clients and being more careful with their client base. And so since I retired the second time and at the end of 2024, now I've been kind of rolling with just my own thing. And so we've been like, concierge doctor, dentist, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, so on and so forth. Honestly, it's been way cheaper. It's been way cheaper. Every appointment, everything has been way cheaper And I will also tell you this. Now that I have to do it myself, I'm spending more time and more money on preventative, right? So now I got a nutritionist. I'm doing a lot more preventative, going to the doctor and doing preventative care so that I don't even have to find myself in that negative situation. Now I'm willing to spend more money on a trainer. Rita got a trainer. I got a trainer. And so now all of the money should be going towards making ourselves healthier instead of putting ourselves in a position to where now we have to pay for it or we have to depend on the insurance company to fix something that we could have prevented ourselves from being in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So it's a different mindset. And I think that that's the same thing when it comes to welfare. But I'll get to it. We'll get there. We're definitely going to get there.
Next year.
And thousands of air traffic controllers working without pay for weeks. Nearly 80% in New York have called out, facing stress and fatigue. The staffing shortages triggering delays across the country. Now 4 of the nation's largest airlines pleading lawmakers to reopen the government.
It's putting stress on people. It's not fair to those people. It's also putting stress on the economy.
Even as more than 1 million federal workers like those air traffic controllers are working without pay, lawmakers, guys, on Capitol Hill are still getting their paychecks.
Let me tell you something. Do y'all know why this government shutdown is lasting as long as it's lasting? It's a very simple answer. The only reason that the government shutdown is lasting as long as it's lasting is because Congress is still getting their paychecks. That's the only reason. Is because they can't relate. They so far removed from who y'all are, and the fact that they still getting their paychecks and they justifying getting their paychecks. If y'all cut off, the real protest shouldn't be about food stamps. Y'all shouldn't even be arguing about government. It shouldn't be Republican versus Democrat. Y'all, the real protest while y'all out here wasting your fucking time on this no king stuff and y'all was standing outside for Tesla, now y'all standing outside of the food line. I seen one lady, right? Because you know how you can go down somebody's profile and see what they previously did. I've been doing a lot more of that now. When y'all send me videos to react, I go down the profile and I go to try to look at the people that's on there, right? And so I go to one lady and she talking about how she had to do whatever. You standing in line, the pantry halls or whatever, right? Standing in line. I scroll up her profile and so I'm looking at different things. This chick was out there doing a protest. She was standing out there at the protest. She was at a Tesla dealership protesting. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. The only protest that y'all should be having right now is whether or not Congress, y'all should be having Congress enact laws to prevent them from getting a paycheck if everybody else, you supposed to pay yourself last. The only reason that the government is still shut down is because Congress is still getting their paychecks and their health care. Cut off their health care, cut off their payments, cut off their TSPs, cut off everything. Cut government off completely. Cut off Congress and watch stuff start getting done. They on vacation. They continue to go out of town. You know what? We going to revisit this on Tuesday after the holiday and shit. I bet you they start doing what they supposed to. Now, Nancy Pelosi and them, they a little different. They've been in it for a long time. They married into money and all of that stuff. But for you regular Congress members, for you new niggas, y'all would have been crossed the aisle a long time ago and got the government back open. Can't depend on Nancy. That's another reason why y'all need to get these old people up out of there. It's because they don't feel like they got nothing to lose. Old people have already lived their life. They ain't got no skin in the game no more. And so if they not doing it for the right reasons to where they don't need it, but they actually just want to fix the government itself, then they're not going to have no vested interest in seeing it through. They don't care because they're not affected by what's going on. They doing this just because they want to maintain power.
I'll look at today's top stories. In an exclusive interview with 60 Minutes, Norah O'Donnell asked the president about his call to end the filibuster, and Mr. Trump doubled down.
But you know what? The Republicans have to get tougher. If we end the filibuster, we can do exactly what we want. We're not going to lose power. The theory is, oh, then we'll do it. But then when they get into power someday, they'll do it. That's true. But you know what?
So you think, John,
we're here right now.
Food assistance funding is supposed to be distributed today, despite the White House saying it actually would not because of the government shutdown. You see, 2 federal judges ruled Friday the Trump administration has to dip into a contingency fund to make this happen. In a social media post, the president said he asked his lawyers to get clarification from the court about how to legally fund SNAP benefits. And the transportation secretary says the shutdown's impact on the nation's airports is going to get worse. On Face the Nation, Sean Duffy said the government will stop air traffic to avoid safety issues. And new CBS News polling shows more Americans are feeling uneasy about the shutdown's economic impact. 54% of Americans say they're very concerned, which, as you see on your screen, is up from 49% early last month. And more people are souring on the politicians involved as well. President Trump, Democrats, and Republicans in Congress have all seen people's disapproval of their handling of the shutdown rise since October. CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes brings us more on the shutdown from the White House now. Good morning, Nancy. The Trump administration faces this deadline today over benefits. There's a back and forth. So where do things stand at this moment?
Well, here's where things stand, Errol. There are not one but 2 federal courts who have said just in the past couple of days that the administration has to make these payments and that it has to use contingency funds in order to do it so that there is no lapse in the SNAP benefits that go to 42 million households in this country. On Friday, President Trump said he wasn't so sure and that his lawyers weren't that sure that they could simply pay these benefits out in a shutdown. The court said, oh, no, you can, and you need to do it right away. So yesterday, on a couple of the Sunday shows, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that they are going to try to do it, that it could happen by Wednesday. He wasn't definitive, but he said that the president doesn't want these benefits to lapse, and Democrats say they don't want them to lapse either. But nevertheless, there are millions of Americans who are worried that they are going to lose out on these benefits, at least temporarily. And for people like Rebecca Hall, who we spoke to, has 5 kids and who relies on that monthly check, this is a big worry. Take a listen.
I said, wow, this is really happening in America. For people like me that pay PS&G, pay rent, transportation, stuff that the kids need, now you're going to have to pick and choose.
Why do you have 5 kids that you can't take care of? Why do you have 5 kids that you can't take care of? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why do we have to take care of y'all 5 kids? Why do we have to take care of y'all 5 kids is what I'm trying to understand. Why is that a us problem? How did that become our fight? How did that become our plight? Why are y'all having so many kids that y'all can't take care of? Got 1,000 kids and can't take care of y'all own kids. And then they put them up there. And this woman that has 5 kids, she can't take care of them. Ain't a man in sight. Where they daddy at? Where is they daddy at? Listen. Unless you widowed, don't come to nobody. Don't come to nobody talking about I need money from the taxpayers. Where they daddy at? Why the daddy ain't in the background along with you? And these is little kids. These is new kids. These ain't no old kids. These is new kids. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why the fuck am I on the line for these little niggas? Why I gotta pay for them to make sure that they taken care of? You know what? That's because they plan on y'all. They plan on the women. This is why. Let me stop, bro. Let me stop. Let me stop. Real talk. Let me stop. They plan on y'all, bro. They plan on us, man. And they using women to do it. The women are justifying it, and that's how they're able to get away with it. You got five children that I have to make sure is taken care of. That's crazy, bro. That should never, ever, ever be my responsibility. I didn't have those kids. I didn't even get to sleep with you. I didn't get to do a test drive. I didn't get no Gawk 3000. I don't get nothing. So basically, what y'all telling me is that I gotta pay for your kids, and I ain't getting no box. I didn't even get to touch it. That ain't right. I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about having to pay for something that I never even touched before. And then you demanded more of me than you demanded of that nigga. That's why I could never be a stepfather. That's why I could never be a stepfather. Because you can't demand more of me than the person that actually got the DNA with that little nigga. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna demand more of me? Who made him? Who made him? Who made him? Straight up, that's not my responsibility. How did I become responsible as a taxpayer for your 5 children? I don't agree with this. I genuinely don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. One of them baby daddies should be able to step up and give you a place to live. I'm responsible for mine. My daughter, she ain't never went to nobody else and asked them for money. She ain't never went and asked nobody, not an uncle, not a grandfather, not nothing. That's my kid. So why your kids coming to us asking us to pay for your kids? I don't agree, bro. I don't agree. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification. Y'all ask the weirdest questions. Is your wife's trainer a male? My wife's trainer is a hermaphrodite. They're a hermaphrodite. They both. Ain't that what a hermaphrodite is? Let me see. It's both. It's both. What kind of question is that? I don't even know what that means. Is your wife trained? Like, what makes y'all think about that to ask? Is that what a hermaphrodite is? Let me see what a hermaphrodite is. I thought it was something where someone had both. I don't even know how to spell hermaphrodite. Oh, I got it right the first time. Yep, it's both. They possess both organs. Here's my question though. A hermaphrodite is an organism that possesses both male and female reproductive organs, such as an earthworm or flowering plant. In human context, the term is outdated and considered offensive. The correct and respectful term is called intersex. Did y'all know that? That now they've changed the name when it's referring to a human as intersex, which refers to people born with variations in sex characteristics. While many organisms with both sets of organs can require a partner for reproduction, some can self-fertilize, like certain clams and plants. Well, that's what I was gonna ask. If you are a human that have both, can you get yourself pregnant? Have y'all ever asked yourself that question? If you are a human that has both, can you get yourself pregnant? That's a reasonable question. Tabby says no. Can you go F yourself? They're typically sterile, Anton. I just say whatever I think. I'm just asking a question. That's the first thing that came to my mind. That's gross. Okay, so wait a minute. So you telling me that if you had both, you wouldn't get yourself. Oh man, that's crazy. If you have both, you wouldn't bust yourself. If you have both, you wouldn't bust yourself down. Tavi says,